Yes, so today's topic is why vehicle inspection is expensive, right? So, what people think, um, the answer is I don't know, but it's always been like that because people don't want to spend money unnecessary without seeing they're getting any sort of benefits. I think because they think it's waste of time. But more likely people will, for some reason, they will buy a shit car and they will then decide they will spend money on a detailing, tinting windows, changing alloy wheels, spraying brake calipers, and then the vehicle breaks down or the warning light comes on. Spending all this unnecessary money for the visual improvements, and finding out the car is shit. Where technically you want to make sure you buy a vehicle in a satisfactory condition, fit for purpose, and free from abnormal issues or potential abnormal issues, or potential maybe a latent issues. Depends on a vehicle, right? So the majority of times, obviously, the seller will always say there's nothing wrong with the car for them because the cars are always prepped, not for you as a customer, but for them, so they have to spend less as possible amount of money on that vehicle. So as you don't know where they're buying these vehicles from and what condition the vehicle is, how good is the service history, etc., etc., etc. Because most of the cars, obviously, as you would know, they will come from auctions anyway. you know Auctions, trade-ins, and seller would not check the car. They will just base, you got some um, people for working for seller to somehow check this vehicle, more likely visual aesthetics, when they're buying a car from, if it's a trade-in, right? You can't really much check when you're buying a car from auction. It is what it is. You do your best due diligence prior bidding it, or prior final bid, and yeah, and then you have it, whatever it comes with it. If it's some sort of short scheme, it might be better. Some things will be just simply blind. But the people, why they think that the inspection is expensive, I think it's the educational matter, to become smarter. The problem has been for 120 years, people were just assuming, and for some reason, the buyer would ask some questions and they will assume they can trust the seller. These times are gone where your dad can check the car, and if inspection is expensive, I can provide you a few costs like battery on a modern car, because they've got enchant flooded, AGM type of batteries, absorb glass matte batteries, for the start and stop functions. Even the start and stop function, the starter motor works differently, etc. It's more durable, etc. All of these things has lifespans, etc. So the average battery cost is like 250, on a golf size vehicle, let's say, right? And it could be 450, 500, then the servicing is 200, front pads £100 replacement, rear pads £100. If it's a discount pads, again depends what parts of it fit, but let's just stay with 280 at the front, are approximately the same amount of money at the back to replace discount pads, right? Mentioned the service £200. If it's got one key, to do another key on average would be £180. And again, these costs, tires, average cost on a tire, let's say for the Golf, for the Focus, it's about 140 pounds. On an 18-inch rim, right? The bigger the rims, the more expensive the tires will become. You know, so that you can count already what's what. And these are just the basic stuff, you know. Potentially on some cars, DSG gearbox oil changes, timing belt replacements, average about 380 pounds. You know, if these items, we call them maintenance, you know, not completed, or you haven't asked the seller these issues, it will be down to you. It will be out of your pocket. You know, you want to purchase the vehicle. Doesn't matter how old it is. With all these basics in a good condition, so you don't have to touch that vehicle for, let's say, for 2 years, apart from basic maintenance, right? Or a sudden breakdown, which happens to new cars and old cars, right? Always, obviously, make sure you got appropriate extended warranty. If you're gonna buy something old, above 80 years, 10 years, there will be nothing much for you to choose from extended warranties, or anything above £100,000. There will be some limited covers, but nothing great, right? We'll cover that, just the major things. But if you will need a new engine and gearbox, will be not enough. You will have to still pay towards the repairs, you know, because it will not cover the major things. But it will cover you less expensive items like starter motor, alternator, battery, you know, ignition coils, or injectors, you know, those are the straightforward items, or crank sensors, water pumps. I mean, less expensive, less significant labor costs involved. You will be, with those to the type of warranties above 8 to 10 years, you will be covered, you know. But also it will be limited costs for maximum claim, you know, about £500, £1,000. Remember, all import vehicles you buy, none of the import vehicles will be covered with extended warranties, or any conversions or any modifications will not be covered. So yeah, just as you know. So inspection, basically, people think it's expensive, but it's not expensive. It protects you from making emotionally stupid decisions, you know, before you're buying a vehicle, because your mind is craving something, and you making emotional decisions based where even seller says you something, you know it's not right, but you still go and buy it because your mind simply couldn't resist, you know, and then you realize, oh, this is not right, right? So to avoid these things, inspection gives you that double check from somebody who is neutral, right? Because I'm not interested if you're buying this car, nor I'm interested if you're not buying the car. I'm not interested in whether the seller sells the car. I'm not interested in whether the seller doesn't sell the vehicle. I just have to explain, or we at the car examiner, we're following the same process. Inspectors who work on a platform, so you understand the consequences, right? So that's the main thing. You can buy the biggest shit you want as long as you know it's shit, right? If there are abnormal things found on the inspection, as long as you know, whatever you do later, It's whether you advise seller to fix it and they fix it, or whether they reduce the price significantly based on, let's say, there's abnormal issue. There's no engine, right? And you know there's no engine. You got a superb deal, right? And you can do it. And you don't have problem doing it, or maybe you have it one at home. Then obviously it works well for you. But most of the times, the people who want to do inspections, they have been previously scammed, you know. And inspection is just, yes, people, there will be a bunch of you saying, oh, Vigo has warranty for 6 months. That is not warranty, it's a consumer rights which they have to follow. That's not warranty. It doesn't mean it will cover you all the stupid items on the vehicle, you know, which will go wrong. No, you know, again, it will have to follow individuals terms and conditions what they will cover under this Consumer Rights Act warranty. You know, again, once you will buy the car, no one will want to take this car back, because if you go, people also, consumers, the buyers, they have sudden heart failure, right, when something starts going wrong. Then I assume, or over assume, or overestimating their rights, because they assume and they never realize it's just it is a used vehicle, you know. It's old car you're buying, right? Also depends. 2 years and 8 years is a big difference, right? But it's just a perception to understand, perspective, you know. And then they start flaunting that Consumer Rights Act, you know, right and left, where you can't reject the vehicle for something which could be fairly easily fixed, right? Um, and if it's something abnormal, you know, it's just, it doesn't work like that. Even if it says, yeah, you can reject in the first 30 days, but you can't reject it because you don't like it or something. If it's going to be reasonably fixed, you can't just reject it, you know. So, and if you are stubborn and you're the person who just assumes you can do everything, you will lose your case in the court, you know, and that will take you, it will cost you money. You will need engineer's report, uh, and you will go around the circles. And if there's also balance of probability involved, you know, you'll get to the point or into the court case or the process. Let's say on average will be 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, right? In small claims court, up to 10,000 pound maximum claim, right? And then you will lose your case because you've been stupid or stubborn and you think you know everything better than everyone, right? Yes, you as a consumer have consumer rights, same as the seller knows their rights. And remember, they have a solicitors, or lawyers, or legal covers, and you don't, you know. Um, so that's why you have to be careful and to cut things short and avoid disagreements, right? That's why you do the inspection to make sure vehicle is as described, fit for purpose, free from abnormal things, and every used car will have some issues. As long as you can get the best value out of the purchase, and if it's free from abnormal things, and you can negotiate certain things which could be rectified or factored into the price, you win in a game, right? That means you, when you're gonna drive this vehicle, obviously you need to make sure you get appropriate extended warranty to protect yourself from unexpected, just in case they will not cover that under Consumer Rights Act, because not everything will be covered under Consumer Rights Act. It's not warranty, you know. You gotta remember, it's not warranty. You have to be in satisfactory condition. They will only more likely cover engine, gearbox, and associated management systems like powertrain, right? And associated management system to that powertrain, you know. If your door handle will fall off, lights will stop working, if those are consumables, it will be down to you. Or your heating stops working, you know, it will be down to you. Air conditioning stops working, it will be down to you, you know. And it is in satisfactory condition, it's just stop. You can't just expect the seller to put warranty on everything. It's a used vehicle, right? So that's why you have to make sure you always have extended warranties. As when you buy a vehicle, when a vehicle is brand new, it comes with extended warranty. And in a way, then you are protected, right? So when you buy a used vehicle, it's not covered under that sort of manufacturer's warranty anymore. So is the extended warranty terms and conditions you need to follow. So the seller, for seller, it's impossible to give you warranty under Consumers Rights Act, which is not a warranty. It's just the consumer vehicle have to be sold in satisfactory condition, fit for purpose, right? So we can't just give you complete warranty, as you would imagine or understood or imagine regards to the Consumer Rights Act, right? Like I said again, it's not, Consumer Rights Act is not warranty. They have to follow reasonable precautions to make sure the vehicle will last those 6 years, the engine, etc. You know, every car will have some issues. New cars break down, old cars break down, and your car you go buying, it would be not an exception, right? As long as the vehicle is in satisfactory condition, fit for purpose, right? So inspection gives you all these options, depends on which packages you're selecting. We have basic, standard, and premium. Don't get confused with there's so many smaller providers or wherever. If you don't specialize in inspections, you will miss certain things. And some cheaper service providers, there are a bunch of them. They don't even have a diagnostic scans on their basic and standards. On standards, their vehicle's not even jacked up. Their premium, on most of them, their premium inspection is out of a standard inspection, right? Because none of them do paint thickness checks and structural checks, etc. You know, so you're just wasting your money if the vehicle doesn't have a diagnostic scans on a basic and standard, like there are some companies, right? Then you rather call your dad to check the car. You know, there's no point. So as like AA and RAC, they cheapest spec inspections, they don't have a diagnostic scan. The vehicle is not raised. You know, none of them provide potential repair, because we give you the car examiner, the blueprint is set with potential repair costs, so it provides appropriate a guidance cost, so you potentially know where you stand with these things, with those advisories, how much they cost, and are they in line with age and mileage, you know, or abnormal issues, you know, so you know where you are, right, with that car, you know, and it gives you that sort of guidance with that cost, you know, which could fluctuate. It could be sometimes cheaper to fix. If it was, let's just say, it's a fuse and it costs, I don't know, somebody did it or you done it yourself, it's free. Somebody else done it for £10, right? Or under further investigation, it found it needs an ECU, and then from a potential repair cost, let's say from 280, it goes to £800. You know, obviously they're not super accurate, because it needs, or the final cost would be, depends where you're fixing it, who's going to do it, what's that garage labor cost, and and what is the outcome of that further investigation, you know, and how serious obviously it was, and what additional or non-additional parts that vehicle required for that fault to be fixed, you know. So that is the point of inspection, to minimize your costs, so you buy a vehicle and you get the best value out of it. Yes, there are circumstances, and never assume you will do the inspection. Never assume you will buy this vehicle, you know, because vehicle might the inspector might find abnormal issues, and you will simply not tolerating. You will not tolerate the sellers fix, or they can fix it, because you lost the trust, right? You just simply lost it, because the way they've been acting will completely change your mind if there are abnormal issues found, you know. And that £180, let's say, which is standard inspection on car examiner, will save you 2 years of legal work, hassle. Your letter from solicitor will be £500. Them to the case, right? You will need to find out on what cause you will reject this vehicle or whatever, get them to fix it. If you're buying the incorrect vehicle, which has some minor issues, right? Like if they have even like minor issues, right? Too many, and it costs like up to £2 to fix it. What's the point buying it? At least you know that, and you can make this. If you don't know anything about a car, you know, you got professional person who works in your interest to make sure you get in the best deal, right? Or the right deal. Sometimes you can't really say yes, buy it, or when the car is a piece of shit, then you can say yeah, just don't recommend this vehicle, or sometimes when something is, you know, people have different values, and it's hard to understand if, as long as there's no abnormal issues in the vehicle, is like you would, somebody might advise you to rethink purchasing this vehicle, right? But at least that information is there, and you can make a rational decision, right? So if that would actually work for you, based on a price you found, based on a market value, majority of people just simply shop the cars based on the price. So if you're the person who finding the cheapest deal and assume there will be miracles, it ain't be, right? Because there's always be something wrong, and there will always be reasons why the vehicle is below that value. There could be the vehicle hiding potential abnormal issues which are developing, and that will bite you badly in next to the 6 months, especially buying privately, or even from trade, because in a trade you could have people, they know what they're doing. They've been running this scam for, let's say, a while. You know, once they will have too many court cases or whatever, they will just bankrupt their business and open and run the business under a different business name, and you will never get the money back. You know, if somebody wants to play the game, they can. There are situations. No, there are many situations like that. No one really talks about it because you can change the name and trade it again. You know, under different person, under different director. You know, there's nothing you can do. It's just it's easy to do it, or they have several companies as well already set up. You know, the one they're gonna run the bad debt on it. You know, and then when it will come the day to pull the trigger, they will just put the vehicle through the insolvency or strike it off the register. You know, and that's it. You know, and you will never get your money back. You know, so don't just assume it's got limited company, you have your rights. You know, you assume you have your consumer rights. There are people, they know how to trick you to the sense you would never know, and you will never get your money back because you think you know better. You know, I'm just telling you, I'm not teaching you how to suck eggs. I just know how people play the game. I know how people run the businesses, you know. And remember, the people who run the business, they are smarter than you. There are some people who play stupid, and they will pay for their own stupid mistakes. But there are people who have the scheme sussed out the way they want to run. You know, like I just mentioned about, you will never get your money back if somebody deliberately runs that way. You know, or they do one company. They might even have two places. One will sell some shit cars. You know, and when the shit will hit the fan, they will just make that company bankrupt. You know, and that's it. There are obviously cases where people deliberately selling unsafe vehicles, right? Which is a bit different. That's then the trading standard will get involved, and then these people can be prosecuted and put in prison, right? Those things happen, right? But I mean that's different where you deliberately selling unsafe cars, right? And there are people like that as well where they openly do it, you know, and obviously somebody can keep those unsafe trading practices open for quite a long time, you know, for 2 3 years, until the trading standard had too many complaints. So they will start investigating, then they will do the raid. Investigation will take probably 1 2 years for them to come to the place and then inspect it and then shut everything down, right? and but there will be already well be 20-30 people scam these unsafe vehicles, and you will be one of them, you know. And like again, on situations like that, you might never get your money back. You know, it's just unfortunate situations which do happen. So make sure if you are the people buying the cheap shit cars, you know, or you're buying on a price cheap shit car and you think you have Consumer Rights Act, don't be deluded, you know. Your delusion will kill you for your delusion because you think you have a Consumer Rights Act. You think you could be able to do whatever. They, people know how to play the game. They will play the games even smarter back because remember, you're in a position when you need something for you will be twice as hard to prove things wrong or right. You have to 100 times harder than they will just sit back and relax while while you're going through the legal stuff, litigation nonsense, right? And remember, on small claims court, you can't claim back solicitor expenses. Everything is pretty much limited, you know. So you're not going to be able to claim things back. You know, everything you want to claim, or people who sometimes are uh, imagining faults, right? Like I said, you will lose your claim, you know, your case because of stupidity, your own stupidity, because you think you know everything better. There are many situations like that too, right? So be very careful. Don't just assume you know everything because the other party, the seller, they know the game too, even better probably as you. They are obviously, as I mentioned, people who know less the legal stuff, but the people who run fairly big companies, fairly sized companies, they know the legal stuff better than you know, you know. And for somebody, even for cash flow, they can. Even if I wouldn't want to pay you something, and I will make sure you've been an asshole, right? Customer, as they are customers as well, who are like assholes, right? They will deliberately make you go and will not doing something deliberately because they will gain what they will pay interest, let's say 8% yearly on whatever claim you put through until the court process goes, right? And then they can, if they have some sort of legal cover protection, or even let's say liability, right? Some sort of, they will run it through the process. They will make your life miserable deliberately, or even the liability cover will not cover them. Let's say the seller, right? At least they will have, let's say, 2 years, you know, not to pay you the money. They will pay you then afterwards, and then they'll put some claim as the judge to settle the claim, just to pay you in some sort of installments because they don't have money, maybe. Right? Also, then it will be up to the judge to grant them that possibility to pay you installments. You know, and again they will stretch the time. So you know, you would assume you know everything. Sometimes it's just for you easier judging the situation, judging how bad the fault is, judging how bad the car is. Just sell this vehicle back to like We Buy Any Car or somebody else, uh, and somebody else will buy it. Depends on a fraction of cost you will lose or gain going through the legal process, spending money, especially if you don't know anything about the law, you know, will save you the hassle learning, paying somebody some advice. You know, sometimes somebody gives you advice, not knowing full situation, not knowing full extent of it, where it might be you being in a fault, ignoring the seller, etc., or you might knew. The problem is then you somehow, somewhere share that information in text messages or emails, and they will pick that one thing where you knew, let's say, vehicle has, let's say, slightly worn clutch, and you've been fine with it because you paid way below market value, right? If you knew there's nothing you can do, you can't mourn and claim under your Consumer Rights Act. So you see, there is um, context to every case, situation. Everything is different, you know. Uh, and Why inspection is cheap? Because it protects you from this nonsense. Because inspector's job is to find deliberately problems to protect you, and if there are issues, you know, you know, so you can make a rational decision buying this vehicle or not buying this vehicle. So be safe. Make sure you check from who you buy. Always make sure you're buying from reputable seller who's been in the business for a long time. Avoid small shitty shops. Avoid one man band site selling from home who doesn't have any visibility, who has few cars. Avoid these people. That's where it's easier for them to shut the business down if the claim is too big or they have too many claims. Just avoid these people. Buy from big size businesses, medium sized businesses, 50, 100 cars in the stock. Where you go and you feel like, yeah, they don't feel like it's a Mickey Mouse place, right? Make sure you feel comfortable. Make sure you like to who you give the money. Double check what you're buying, because remember, every car will have problems. Like I said, as long as they are acceptable for the age and mileage, and there are no abnormal issues, and you do the inspection, and you can negotiate on a basic maintenance stuff, or there are service and issues needs doing, etc. Washing, maybe there's a bad workmanship, something needs to be fixed. It double checks the car, so you don't buy a shit car, and it gives you that sort of evidence. What condition is that vehicle? You want to know, not finding out, going to one garage to another garage, or your car is shit, or your underside is so badly corroded, and then you don't know what to do. So certain things, even you buy it, things which are negotiables, maintenance, all the stuff we've been discussing that before, mentioning tires, oil changes, brakes, some faults, timing belts, all these sort of issues. One key, those are negotiables. Once you will buy the vehicle and the things what I just mentioned, then the vehicle still satisfactory. It's your problem. You paid the market value where you shouldn't be. It will be your problem. Simple. You can't reject the car based on that. Car have to be satisfactory condition and fit for purpose, right? And free from abnormal issues, right? Or even on the new cars, if you buy a brand new car, free from minor issues. Right? So that's life. You can be caught into a huge limbo, to avoid that. Do the inspection. Inspection is not a warranty or guarantee the vehicle will not break down, but at least it gives you that information, what condition it is, what you need to sort of spend on it, if there are any abnormal visual issues, right? Sometimes maybe even some issues can be latent and they can be picked up, when something is not right, So double check what you're buying, and just avoid yourself problems, traumas, crying, desperation, giving your last money to the person which shouldn't be getting your money, especially when you're going to get the vehicle on the finance. Remember that you will not own that vehicle, it's a finance company, you know. And again, so they own the vehicle, you are just a registered keeper until the finance is paid off. Again, there will be engineers reports involved, and again, same situation. Vehicle after the purchase, as long as it's satisfactory, there's nothing much you can do if you haven't done uh, negotiable stuff, right? It will be down to you, So be careful from who you buy. Don't get don't get caught into huge liability issues and problems, Check the vehicle condition. It will save you the hassle blaming the seller later on, when the vehicle will broke down, because it can happen. As long as they didn't sold you a shit car at the beginning, it's just the nature. Unfortunately, cars do break down, so you will not feel also that disappointed that things will go wrong, and you will be more understanding to work with the seller to get this vehicle fixed, right? Instead of start getting emotional and start showing right and left your consumer rights, and you're gonna reject the car. No, it's just avoid being look yourself like an idiot. You know, like I mentioned before, they know as well the consumer rights, so as you might think you know. You know, so don't look like an idiot at the end of the day. Be wise, be smart, make the right decision, and always get appropriate extended warranty. Make sure the vehicle is in the right condition, is free from abnormal issues, and drive safe. What can I do? What can I say? Hope makes